Okay, so now we're on the back, and let's look at what happens when we subtract polynomials. Now again, the idea is you have to combine like terms. Where you have to be careful though is when you're subtracting parentheses. This is like, there's no number here outside parentheses, but that's the same thing as a -1. So what happens when you have a number outside parentheses? You have to distribute. Okay, so the first method, the underlining method, you've got to drop the parentheses first. So 2x squared minus 3 is good. Now, when you subtract this parentheses, basically what happens is that everything on the inside, the signs get changed. This becomes minus 5x squared. It was positive, but when you multiply by a -1, it becomes negative. Now when you do a -1 times a -9, a negative times a negative is a positive. You have to do that. That's the biggest mistake that students make. A negative times a negative is a positive. You have to distribute that. So here we go. Let's combine like terms. So we've got, that's a 2x squared. That's a negative 5x squared. 2x squared minus 5x squared is negative 3x to the second. Then we have the constants. We have a -3. We have a +9. And notice I put underline here. I'm circling these. Okay, whether you want to underline them or circle, it's up to you. -3 plus 9, that's +6. Okay, -3 plus 9 is 6. Now we have -3x squared plus 6. Well, there's nothing else that we can do. That's good. That's a good answer. We've simplified it. Now the other thing that you can do, just like with addition, is you can do this with columns. You can do 2x squared minus 3. And then this is minus, and it's 5x squared minus 9. But again, you have to be very, very careful here. Here's the way that I look at this. I'm going to distribute my minus. And when you distribute a negative, so what happens? Well, I'm going to change it. When I distribute this, this becomes a -5x squared, and this becomes a +9. So what happens to the negative on the outside? Well, when you distribute it, you take care of it. So basically, it just becomes a plus. So what I can do if I'm going to do this with columns, I change this to a plus, and then I just change all the signs on the inside. If it was positive, it becomes negative. If it was negative, it becomes positive. So we get 2x squared plus -5x squared, or 2 minus 5, -3x squared. We get -3 plus 9, which is 6. You get the same answer. All right, let's take a look at number 6. I'm going to do 6. Let's go ahead and do this with the column method. So 11x squared minus 5x plus 1. And then subtract. This is 4x squared minus 2x minus 1. The other thing you have to be real careful about when you do this, make sure you copy the problem correctly, including the pluses and the minuses. All right, we're going to subtract. Now, to make this a little bit easier for myself, let me go ahead and distribute the minus sign. So I'm going to change this to a plus, and then I'm going to change all the signs on the inside because I'm going to distribute. So it becomes -4x squared, +2x, and +1. Okay, here we go. 11x squared minus 4x squared, 7x squared. -5x plus 2x is minus 3x. +1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. That's it. That is simplified. Okay, number 7. Let's do this one, but I'll just distribute. I'm not going to put them into columns. So we get 20x to the third minus 5x squared minus 2. Let's distribute the minus sign. So this becomes minus 4x squared, and then this +5 times -1 becomes a -5. Combine like terms. Now 20x to the third, I'll underline it. There are no other x to the thirds. So 20x to the third stays the same. Negative 5x squared minus 4x squared. And that's negative 5x squared minus 4. Negative 5 minus 4 is minus 9x to the second. And then the last set of terms there, we've got, that's a negative 2, and that's minus 5. Negative 2 minus 5 is negative 7. Negative 2 minus 5. If you think about a number line, okay, hopefully you're trying to do this in your head. This is good mental math practice. There's negative 2, and if you subtract 5, that means you go 5 spaces left from there. Okay, so you can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Hey, negative 7. That's where we end up. Okay, good practice for adding, subtracting with integers. We want to be good at that. Okay, so there's 7. Let's take a look at number 8. Now, where might you see a question like this on the SOL test? Or how would you see adding, subtracting polynomials? Well, they might give it to you as a picture. So they may give you, in this case, a triangle, and they say, what is the perimeter of the triangle? All right, now perimeter, we've talked about this. Perimeter, you add up the sides. So the perimeter equals, we could say x plus 13 plus 10x minus 5 plus 7x plus 4. Add up the sides. Now, let's combine like terms. We have a 1x, we have a 10x, and we have a 7x. 1 plus 10 plus 7. We get 18x. And then we have 13 minus 5 plus 4. 13 minus 5 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. There's your perimeter. Okay, number 9. If the perimeter of the triangle is 43x plus 8, what is the missing length? All right, so this time they tell us the whole thing, except we don't know what this piece is right here. That's what we need to figure out. So let's do this. You know that perimeter is where you add up all the sides. Okay? Let's just call this third side here y. I'll give it a different variable. All right, now normally I don't like to have two variables, x's and y's, but in this case it's going to be okay. To do the perimeter, we add up the sides. So y plus 23x minus 2 plus 14x minus 7 equals the perimeter. Okay, I'm running out of space here. That's 43x plus 8. So this is like an equation. Well, let's combine like terms here. On the left side, 23x plus 14x. So we get y plus, that's 23 and 14, 37x, minus 2 and minus 7. Negative 2, negative 7 is minus 9, equals 43x plus 8. Now, we want y by itself. That's what we're solving for. So let's move 37x. Let's go minus 37x, minus 37x. And at the same time, let's move the negative 9. So how do you think you move that? Plus 9, plus 9. So what we get here is we get y. This is 0, this is 0. When you add opposites, you get 0. So y equals 43x minus 37x. Is 6x positive, and then 8 plus 9 is 17. So what's the third side? 6x plus 17. Now, if you're not sure about that, what we can do is go back to the picture here. 6x plus 17. Add up your x's. 6 plus 23 plus 14. Does it give you 43x? All right, if you check that, it does. And then if you do 17 minus 2 minus 7, it gives you 8. So it makes it work. That's the key thing. All right, let's look at two more examples here. Change these verbal statements to algebraic expressions. All right, now this is nothing that you're going to have to solve. All we want to do is take the words and try to change them into something with numbers and variables and operations. All right, let's go piece by piece. The sum of a number squared and 3 times the number. Well, sum means plus. So we're going to be adding two things. What are we going to add? Well, a number squared, so x squared, x to the second, and 3 times the number. How could you say that? How about 3x? The sum of a number squared and 3 times the number. That looks good. There we go. That's the answer to the first part of 10. And then the second piece here, last thing we'll do, the product, okay, product is multiply, of 4 and a number cubed subtracted by the sum of 1/2 the square of the number and 8. Whew, okay. Let's go piece by piece here. So the product of 4, so it's going to be 4 times a number cubed. Now that means the number, we could call it x, cubed is raised to the 3rd power. That's an exponent. Squared, the exponent is a 2. Cubed, the exponent is a 3. So the product of 4 and a number cubed, that looks good. Subtracted, okay, trying to get my marker out here. Subtracted is minus, so minus. Subtracted by the sum of 1/2 the square of the number and 8. Now subtracted by the sum. So we're going to subtract it by this whole sum right here. 1/2 the square of the number. All right, 1/2 the square of the number. That's 1/2 x squared. And 8, so plus 8. So what we have here, we have the product of 4 and a number cubed. That's good. Subtracted by the sum, it's plus, 1/2 the square of the number, 1/2 x squared plus 8. All right, let's simplify this here. We can do one more thing basically. This would be, let's write this as 4x to the 3rd. We'll put the 4 right next to the variable. That means multiplication. And, all right, let's take care of this minus here. What do you have to do? Think of it as a minus 1. You got to distribute. So that's minus 1/2 x squared. And then this becomes a positive 8 times negative 1 becomes a negative 8. And that's it. All right, so there are some good problems, and I think that's enough for you to be able to do your homework and to do it well.